Hi there, my name is Wendy and welcome to my channel where I share knitting and crochet tutorial videos for my projects and techniques. And in today's knitting video, I'm going to show you 2 ways of making a basic decrease when you're knitting. And this will be decreasing 2 stitches down to 1. Now I'm going to show you how to do this 2 different ways. I'm going to show you how to work a slip-slip knit, which is where the decrease is leaning towards the left hand direction, and I'm also going to show you how to make a knit 2 together where the decrease is leaning towards the right hand direction. But just before we start, if you're new to my channel, then don't forget to click the subscribe button and you'll get to hear when my new videos and updates go live. And if you've enjoyed this video, it would be lovely if you gave me a thumbs up as well. But for now, we'll get straight on with working these 2 ways of making a decrease. Okay, so the first form of decrease we're going to work is the slip-slip knit, and we're going to reduce 2 stitches down to 1, and the overall effect is that the stitches will lean in the left hand direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is transfer 2 stitches from the left hand needle to the right hand needle without knitting them. So I'm going to take my right hand needle and I'm going to go in as if I'm going to knit, but I'm just going to slide it across onto the right hand needle. Then I'm going to do that again with the second stitch, just going in as if I'm going to knit and sliding it across to the right hand needle. Then with my left hand needle, I'm going to slide them back onto the left hand needle. Now the reason for doing that is that we've changed the position of how the stitch sits on the needle. Normally the stitch sits with the right hand side of the stitch at the front of the needle, but by doing this we've transferred it so that the left hand side of the stitch is sitting on the front of the needle. Now we can knit into the back of the stitch going through both those 2 stitches, and then we can just knit them together. So as the name says, we've slipped and slipped and knit, and there we have our stitch leaning in the left hand direction. So I'm going to knit a couple of stitches and do that a couple of more times for you. So I'm going to slip the next 2 stitches onto my right hand needle as if I'm knitting them. So I'm going in as if to knit, that's 1 stitch, and then in as if to knit again, that's the second stitch. Then I'm going to put them back onto the left hand needle, and then I'm going to knit into the back of both those stitches and knit them together. Okay, so I'm going to do that once more. I'm going to knit a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to work another slip-slip knit. So I'm going to slip my stitch as if I'm going to knit it across from the left hand needle to the right hand needle. I'm going to slip the next stitch in the same way across to the right hand needle. Then with the tip of my left hand needle, I'm going to go through both those stitches and pop them back onto my left hand needle. And I've changed the position of how the stitch sits on the needle. Now I'm going to take the tip of my right hand needle and take it through the back of both of those stitches, and I can just knit them both together. So that's given me my slip-slip knit, and we can see we've got 1, 2, 3, and if you look carefully underneath the stitches, you can see that they're leaning in the left hand direction. So now we'll move on to making some knit 2 togethers. So now we're ready to work our knit 2 together stitches, where the overall effect will be that the stitches are leaning in the right hand direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to miss the first stitch, and I'm going to go in as if I'm going to knit into the second stitch, but I'm going to go through both of them. And then quite simply I'm going to make my knit stitch, knit them both off together, and I've made a knit 2 together. And if you look carefully, you can see now that this stitch is leaning in the right hand direction. So I'm going to knit a couple more stitches and do it again for you. So I'm going to miss the first stitch and go into the second stitch as if I'm going to knit it, and then go through both the first and second stitch together. So you can see I've got both stitches on there forming a cross. And then I just knit the stitch as normal, and I've reduced 2 stitches down to 1. So I'm going to do one more. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to do one more knit 2 together. So I'm going to miss the first stitch, go into the second stitch and the first stitch all at the same time. I formed my cross, and then I just knit them normally, and I've knitted 2 together. And that is how you make simple decreases with stitches leaning in different directions. So I hope you found this video useful and that you now understand how to work decreases that point in different directions. So thanks for joining me, happy knitting, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye!